So hello and welcome to the Expat Pod, and welcome to the shorter quick-fire questions version of the podcast. Today I'm joined by Robin, and Robin, you and I have had a very good chat about your life abroad in the main episode of the podcast. If you haven't really watched or listened to that, then please go and do so after this, of course. So Robin, my first question to everyone is always, where is your favourite place you ever lived?
It's the hardest question. It's like choosing a movie. You know what? I'm going to say California, just with the, the mindset I had at the time. California, because I loved how easily I could access nature, as in mountain and ocean. I loved the sun. I loved kind of that outdoorsy vibe, which was something that made me intrigued and probably the reason why I moved to Canada.
Amazing. Which city in California were you living in? Sorry, out of curiosity. It's a very big place.
Near San Francisco. But I had good weather for all the time I was there, so that's why it was sunny. I didn't experience rain in San Francisco.
I'm wearing my Yosemite top because I've been there a few times. It's so beautiful.
Yes, yeah, I still like it.
What's your favourite international food?
I would say, sushi. I love sushi. I love fish. Sashimi, oh my God, like a good, proper sushi place. And second to it, pad thai, I think. Yeah.
So you're Asian all the way.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, and damn it, Max. Yeah, I was thinking about burrito and tacos too. They're there, but yeah, I would say sushi first, followed by the others.
Yeah, but a strong kind of winner. Is there any reason why? Just because of your love for fish? Is that why?
Yeah, I don't know what it is about it. I haven't been to Japan yet. It's on my list. Definitely because I want to try the sushi there, because it's such an interesting idea, I guess, right? Especially coming, from Italy, where there's a lot of seafood, but it's cooked. Like, it's very rare. Like, there is a couple of fish dish, I guess, that are more raw. But in general, like, it's more cooked. And so I think it's just like something so different, but it's so tasty. And the whole experience of it, even like when you go and, to Japanese restaurants and like cook in front of you. So I definitely put it up there. Pad thai, I don't know, it's comfort food. Sometimes you just want to order because pad thai. And the tacos is just, when you're in Mexico and you just go to a taqueria and you just like fill yourself with tacos al pastor, or like, I don't know. It's just something about it. How easy it is, how, rewarding it is.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's also very messy sometimes, which makes it more fun.
Which makes it more fun. I got to be prepared, but yeah.
My next question is, what's your favourite international tradition?
That's a good one. So for me, obviously, like something that was very different and something that I had never really celebrated before was Thanksgiving, which for me here is Friendsgiving, as I don't really have family here. And I kind of like it. It feels like it's like Christmas, but with fall. And I love some good autumn weather. Like here, it's like very like sunny and like colorful trees and stuff. And then you just get together. So it feels like it's an extra Christmas that you get. Again, I mean, obviously there's different meanings to it if you're actually from here and then you spend with family and I guess all these other things, but historically, but as a one thing additional, thing to celebrate, I would say Thanksgiving for those reasons. It feels like a autumn Christmas, and it's kind of cute.
But it's earlier in Canada, right, than the US, so it's a different time.
Sorry, yeah, it's in October here, so that's what I was thinking. So yeah.
And what's your favourite thing about living abroad?
I think in general, like living abroad / starting over, is also there's a factor of it of reinventing yourself in a way. It doesn't mean you change, because I think like I have friends from different phases of my life, and they probably can testify I'm pretty much the same type of person. But because you're in a different country, you have this like blank canvas in front of you. You have all these learnings to do. I think there's ways to take it as also things that you want to better. It's almost like adding, we all have cycles of our life and cycles of our, own chapters of life as people. And then I think moving abroad and living abroad adds to it, because it adds new perspectives to it. It adds new learnings to it, which obviously affect you as a person. And so in a way, it helps reinvent yourself in moments that maybe you weren't going to reinvent yourself. So I think that's really beautiful of it.
No, that's a wonderful way of thinking about it, for sure, and not one that I've heard before, I think. So that's great. And what's your best homesickness remedy?
So, to be honest, going back to the cuisine, if you haven't watched the episode, go watch it. Whether going to a good Italian restaurant or like watching something in Italian while eating something Italian, that's a good one. Yeah. Well, luckily, I'm not homesick that badly often. But when I have those little things, I'm like, I go to probably movies and cuisine to just have a little bit of, Italy with me.
No, that was also mine when I was away. It was watch BBC stuff and you know find something that's remotely British, whether it's
Yeah.
you know.
And actually, I'm a big importer of, I don't know, are you familiar with Aperitivo?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a big importer of that. I just like to make everybody know what aperitivo is and then try to like have like little aperitivo, like, events or something with friends because that makes me happy. I'm a big fan of aperitivo and it's something I do miss. So if I am particularly nostalgic, I'm just going to have a little, charcuterie with like a little wine or a little something. So yeah, that usually makes me happy.
I mean, it's also a very social way of doing things as well. So it's never a bad time.
That's true.
What's the hardest thing about living abroad?
Feeling like you are having moments where you feel a foreigner where you live, but you also feel a foreigner back home. And so I guess being confused sometimes, not identity necessarily, but just like feeling so international, especially after living abroad for so long that, like I know I'm Italian, like I identify as Italian and all that, but also like there's things, as we mentioned before in the episode, like that I go back to and then it's like, I don't know if I would live here, right? And so reverse cultural shock. And you're like, wait a second, like you get to a point where you're like, well, if I don't live here, let's say if I don't live in Canada, I don't really know where I would live or where I want to go next because I don't think it would be Italy, right? So what is the option? And so sometimes it gets a bit overwhelming if you're in that stage of, transition or wanting a change from a geographical perspective. So it's probably the hardest part, becoming maybe too international or maybe too
nomadic. Yeah.
Yeah, foreign everywhere.
Yeah, it's a very good point. I guess if you've been traveling as you have, it becomes, especially if you've been traveling as a child as well, you kind of have that kind of split upbringing where it might make you feel that way because your formative years are not in one culture. It's like a third culture kid, essentially, in that sense. What's the best phrase you've learned since living abroad? And this can be any language. Obviously, no, you've learned quite a few, but what's something which you've gone, that's a great one. It's not in my mother tongue. I'm going to use that for sure, and even translate it back.
Okay, this is maybe sounds a bit, silly. The first one that came and the only one that is coming right now, because I feel like I have more than this, but it's just not computing in my brain. It's Pura Vida. It's one that I learned in Costa Rica ages ago when I went there, like volunteering and backpacking. And I just love that saying, Pura Vida. I was like, yeah, Pura Vida. It's kind of like La Bella Vita or La Dolce Vita, right? But like I think like a more exciting version of it. Don't know why, it just sounds more exciting. Where it's like, yeah, just full on life. I love it.
Yeah, it's a really good one. It's very Costa Rican.
Yeah. So yeah, that's definitely one that I really like.
And then what's your best way of making new friends?
Participating like group tours, group activities, whatever it is, if it's a hostel offering it, if it's like some sort of associations, even sometimes like just doing like a walk-in tour. And then from there, sometimes you have like an after, going to a bar after or something like that. But yeah, I would say that's been like a great way to meet people and putting yourself out there.
Yeah, it's a great bit of advice for sure. And then what's your favourite thing to do in your new home city? So Calgary, what's your favourite thing to do there?
Right. Going for brunch. I know it sounds very basic. I loved it. Calgary is actually like a very growing cuisine scene. And there's always like a new place and this and that. And so like really enjoying that. And I'm a big brunch fan, which is something I've been talking about. Differences. Brunch isn't really an Italian thing. You have breakfast and then you have lunch. And you don't really have savory breakfast, right? So that's probably one thing that I'm very, very different from how I grew up. I love brunch, and here there's a lot of places, so I love to just go, with loved ones and just go for brunch for now. And then later probably skiing. It's something fun that you can do that you can't do you can't do everywhere. Like easily go 50 minutes and you can ski, right? Unless you're near the mountains like the Alps or something.
Yeah, I guess growing up in northern Italy, you probably had that quite common as well. So it's probably something which reminds you of home, perhaps.
A little bit, but I also grew up, like I was born near the mountains, but then I grew up in places that had sea and water, like Venice and Sicily. So I actually am more of a beach person than a mountain person, or I would go back in summer and then it's more hiking. So I've done more skiing and probably overall in Canada in amount of like how often in a row. Because back in Europe, it was like, that those 5 days a year kind of thing, every year that you could.
And then my last question is, what's your best expat life hack?
To be honest, I mean, it sounds a bit also basic, like my brunch answer, but connecting to people. I think like just being able to connect and opening yourself to connecting with others. As I said before, like also putting yourself out there at first. Sometimes you have to make the first move, right? Put a bit more effort on your side if you're trying to meet people, especially if it's already groups that are already formed. But yeah, and because I generally think, and this is why it was so hard to answer your question about which is my favorite country to live in, that I lived in, because like a lot of, the experience and how you experience the country is really like also the people that you meet and those memories that you make in that sense. It also shapes the person that you are and the person you become after. And so I think connecting to the people and making sure that you do that and you get uncomfortable at the beginning, I think it's going to be a big payoff afterwards.
Yeah, embrace being out the comfort zone. This is very, very good.
You kind of have to, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Get used to being uncomfortable. It's quite a common thread being an expat, because no matter what you do, it'll be different to what you're used to at home. I think that's a very good point.
That's right.
Thanks, Robin. I really, really appreciate your time and spending this time talking to me and sharing all about your amazing journey, or several journeys you've been on. It's very inspiring. Great to hear someone who seems to have embraced the living abroad life and is now helping other people as well kind of work on their own lives and their own kind of journey, as you mentioned before. So yeah, thank you as always. If you have enjoyed the podcast, and if you haven't yet listened to the full podcast, do go and do that now. You do have time, and we'll see you next time for the Expat Pod.